Can you explain the benefits of early admissions and the drawbacks? Well, that's a really good question. And it really has to do with the difference between early action and early decision. Early decision can be binding, and early action is generally not binding. And the difference is this, that if you deal with a binding early decision, then what it pretty much says is that you will go if you get in. It's pretty much a contract. So the advantage to that, a lot of people ask, why the heck would I ever do that, right? Why would I bind myself to one school? And there's actually a really interesting reason why you want to do that. And it's to prove to the school that you will go if they let you in. Most people are so caught up in the idea that they need to be good enough for the school that they forget that schools also have a very selfish, very serious motivation to make sure that anyone they let in actually attends. And a lot of people think that admissions percentage is the most important piece of ranking when it comes, or most important criteria when it comes to ranking a college. In fact, that's really not the case. There are actually a lot of schools that are way more competitive admissions percentage wise than Harvard, for instance. But there is a number that's even more important, and it's the ratio of people they let in to people they attend. Right. So Janssen and Janssen University, I'm making that up. They might, let in a ton of people and only 5% of them go. That's a really bad sign. Whereas you better believe that most people who get into Harvard end up going to Harvard. That's why it's Harvard. Right. And so this is really, 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 really important to them. And this is actually a reason why a lot of my students who have hyper-competitive applications get flat out rejected from a ton of the lower ranked schools, right? So it's so funny. They get into a couple top 30s or top 20s, and then they get fully blown out of the water. They don't get into anything from, 200 to 50. And the reason is kind of funny if you think about it. The schools know that they're not going to go, right? If you apply to, number 283 college and you have a 4.3 weighted GPA with perfect SAT scores, you're the captain of the soccer team, you have incredible recommendations, and you published a novel, you're going to get in somewhere really, really, really good. So, they know you're not going to attend, so they actually reject you. So this early decision thing is telling the school, look, it's not just that I'm promising you that I'm going to go. I am going to go for a fact. This is a lock. So if you let me in, I'll come. This is important to them. Early action is, it's not binding, and you can apply to multiple early action schools at once. And there's something else that you need to keep in mind, which is that certain schools, and you need to look this up for each school. In my book, Why You Get Rejected, I talk about all the minutia of this. It's kind of, you can get pretty in depth. But basically, some schools, when they let you in, they need to know that you commit right then. Other schools have rolling admissions and allow you to wait until the spring, and you can decide then along with regular decision schools. So certain schools actually allow you to apply early action. They could let you in. You can still apply for the January deadline and then decide after the fact where you want to get in. The advantages are twofold. Aside from showing the schools that you're very interested, you're also getting it out of the way, and it's a stressful, annoying process. So it's not actually sort of like an application advantage per se, but it's a really, really valuable just psychological and lifestyle advantage. You're done with this horrific process, and make no mistake, this is it's not hard per se, but it's stressful and it's annoying, and you want to get it done. The disadvantages, you have less time to get your application ready, and that's a pretty serious disadvantage. And also, you're generally dealing with a way more competitive applicant pool. Generally, people have their act together. What's funny is that the October SAT, by the way, was not the case this year. If you weren't under a rock, you know that the October SAT was very, very difficult this year. But usually, it's actually seen as the quote unquote easier test, which, by the way, not to go off topic, but it shows you that you should never base your test on what people say about whether it's easy or hard compared to the applicant pool, because you never really know. But basically it had a reputation as being easier. The reason being that a lot of the people who took the October SAT were people who were seniors, and all of a sudden they went, oh crap, I need to take that SAT. They hadn't prepared, right? Whereas a lot of people who prepare and get rid of it early, they take care of it in June or in January because they've been prepping for it during the school year. So it's kind of a funny setup. But basically, you are going to be dealing with people who know their stuff, who usually have help, and who are very competitive when you apply early. So I've actually had college advisors that I work with, private advisors, tell my students, look, don't apply early. apply regular because you're kind of competitive-ish early, but hyper competitive in the regular decision pool. And especially if, for instance, you can get stronger SAT subject test scores. So take the time, get stronger subject tests, and then apply regular. So you're less competitive and you have time to get your things together, write better essays, get higher subject test scores, get your AP scores in, maybe get that A that'll bring your GPA up a little bit, whatever you might need to do. So it's a complicated question. Again, I would really recommend checking out why you get rejected, looking online, researching which schools are early action, which schools are early decision, which ones are binding, which ones aren't, so that you know in depth based on where you want to apply, because it really does vary a lot by schools. And so you don't want to just kind of take generalities into account when you're doing it.